actually ignited several causes that needed to align themselves in order to promote the cause of humanity. And so over the last 12 months, not only have we continued to build within our grassroots organizations in our communities, but we've also expanded our access to organizations like Portland Rising Tide and the 15 Now campaign and the Healthcare for All campaign and anything else that's fighting for our rights. We've been working directly with Basic Rights Oregon and the ACLU for privacy laws and state legislation regarding body cams and all types of stuff. I mean, we've testified in City Hall with children on testimony regarding the JTTF and everything else. So we're doing the work, we're taking action, we're doing the steps, we're communicating with our community, and we're educating them, and we're making sure that they understand the language and how to deal with that language and how to use that language to help us survive. Because there is language that is the big common denominator here. It's our feelings and our emotions and our consciousness, that all plays out in our bodies. But the language in the constitutional law, in our political systems, that has to be broken, erased, and changed. There's no way to reform all of these systems. If we get engaged, the people run the government. The government actually works for us. And that's the first tool that we've used in order to encourage our community members. People didn't know that they could approach the mayor. They didn't know that their state representatives were accessible. They didn't know that they could use a phone or a fax or an email to get somebody to pay attention to their cause. And so we want to turn up as it pertains to doing that type of action at the same time while working with organizations like Rising Tide and learning how to turn up on the ground level as well. So in no way at all are we turning down, but we're going to use the tools and the knowledge and the action that was received from us on these panels from these people to move into more direct action. We are going to encourage community members to get together, and if there's anything that they know about this, and we'll post it on our site what the OVPC platform is, but if you have any relativity to any of those issues, get involved. Your issues are our issues. We do need to fight together on all fronts. Read Malcolm X, The Ballad or the Bullet. You know what I'm saying? Read it. It pertains to what's happening right now, so we have to do that. Now I'm going to go ahead and introduce to you community members that are a part of Don't Shoot Portland, and even a member that's been with me since back in the Trayvon Martin days when we hosted a rally out here in his honor, when we were fighting against our state constitution, the gun laws that we have here. We do have a stand your ground law in the state of Oregon. You know, it is called the Castle Doctrine, or the Castle Doctrine. You can look it up, and we do need to ask legislators to take that off of the Constitution, because guess what? It doesn't pertain to all of us. So I'm going to go ahead and let them talk about why they're here today, because it's not Trayvon Martin, but I want Glenn Waco, who you probably all know, and then Ashley to go ahead and give you an introduction of their causes and what Don't Shoot Portland can do and what our community can do to help support. And he met with Bernie Sanders, so we need to talk about that.
It wasn't about Bernie. My name is Glenn Waco, 23. I got involved like last year, like around November time. And really I got involved because as my voice as a hip hop artist and my moral obligation of like everyone, I have people that look up to me. So it's like, why not use my influence to say something substantial? So I just took to the streets with Tressa. Like she says, we've been to Salem, to the legislators, and all around just trying to affect some type of systemic change and make people realize that like nothing will change until we change it. Like the power isn't in who's the next president, the power is in the people and what the people will do with it. So that's really how I got involved. And as far as Bernie Sanders go, I think when we talked to him, his body language was kind of like frustrated, because I believe that he's talked on some of the issues as it pertains to generally everyone, but specifically like Black Lives Matter. Like I believe that that needed to be placed like more of an emphasis, because I don't think people got it, as many people that vote for him don't really get it. Because those protesters in Seattle, when they interrupted him, if you look at the video, I don't see them as interrupting him. They more so reintroduced him to the city of Seattle and the systemic oppression specifically that they've been facing. And they got booed for it. But if Bernie Sanders would have said the same thing, the crowd would have cheered. So was the crowd there to really hear truth, or were they there to be entertained by Bernie Sanders? That's kind of the mind, the mind thought process that we brought to Bernie. And I think that had an impact, because basically the next day, he was shouting out Tressa on his campaign and placed more of an emphasis on Black Lives Matter on his campaign. So I salute him for that. But I mean, we need some action. There's a lot of dialogue. It's worthless if there's no direct action to it. So I would urge Bernie to just stay consistent. And people need to stay consistent and focus on the mission at hand. So.
And I wanted to say that after Ashley goes, I would encourage, because Amy Goodman had members of Black Lives Matter Boston on her show today, talking about their meeting with Hillary Clinton this past week. And in her comments, she had mentioned that no other campaign candidate had taken the time to actually meet with Black Lives Matter movement members. But I just wanted to say again publicly on the record that not only did that campaign reach out to us and we snubbed them because we were busy doing our paneling and we were more concerned about Mike Brown and his family and what was happening in Ferguson because there was some hell going on in Ferguson. But they were at our panels and they stayed for the entirety and they got the paperwork and they were taking it back and forth and they asked us for a conference the Saturday after the panels. And they were even there for the rally when we were there on Sunday. During the arrest, they were there. So the acknowledgement of whether we don't endorse any candidates. I don't think that we believe that our political system will serve us regardless of who's in office. But I think that the consideration of a campaign to take the time to notate that the value of our organization, and I mean all of the allies that we have, all of the community support that we have, all of the work that we've done over a year, to take the time to endure themselves into a situation where they get an opportunity to learn about it, to even take part in it. To me, that says a lot. And then to spend the time that they did with my brothers, including Portland Rising Tide, including members of Don't Shoot Portland, 15 Now and everything else, to sit with them as a collective and to get the beat down that I'm sure Marcus Cooper and Glenn Waco gave them, and to endure that and to think about it and then to respond. I just want to say that all candidates need to take that into action. They need to intentionally reach out to the organizations regardless of what their PR can have as a benefit, regardless of how it feels to them personally. They have to do it. You cannot serve this country in any capacity unless you're acknowledging that there are people that are here that feel like they are under terrorist attack. Like, that is the feeling here, and that is the truth, and that is the history of this freaking country, is that our country has attacked our humanity since day one. And that's the humanity of the natives that were here that are a part of who we are genetically since day one. And there's not been any acknowledgement to that fact. We are consistently treated as second-class citizens, and that's in every sector. There is not a Black Lives Matter problem over here to the side. There is an American systematic problem that governs over the Black Lives Matter problem and holds it down to the ground and keeps us in the gutter. And we're working to get out of that. That's why we protest. That's why we use the constitutional rights that we have in order to do something about it, because we don't have anything else. We don't have the money to buy signs. That's why ours is raggedy. You know, we don't have the money to pay lobbyists to go out and present our cause. We're the people. The people barely ever have any type of opportunity or resources to fight their own causes. But we need to change that as a people. We need to get united on the front of let's end poverty together. And let's end it on all fronts together. And whatever nothing we have, everything that we do have, that little bit of something together makes a big impact. I was told 5 years ago that if I took 5 people to City Hall that we could change anything. And that continuously happens. And that's not with the support of any senators, that's not with the support of any legislators, that's with the support of people that believe those posts that we put out on Facebook and make those calls, send those emails, tag those legislators and those politicians. Keep doing it. That's turning up in whatever capacity it takes. And so there's somebody that's about to speak and tell her story that's from our community. And again, she's been on the front line. And when we talk about business and economic development and gentrification, this is something that everybody needs to understand that's going on. This is an update for our community. Thank you, Ashley, for being here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I wrote it all down.
And tell them who you are.
Oh, my name is Ashley Pachel. I am 24 years old, and I'm a Portland native. And I'm a former employee of Multnomah County Library. I was hired as you'll get to it when I read the system. So, Multnomah County Library is the largest library system in Oregon, and well, it is a shame that out of 693 employees, that only 24 are Black. In addition, there are no Black employees on the Multnomah County executive management team. Recently, Multnomah County Library made efforts to increase the Black employees by creating the African American KSA, the African American knowledge, skills, and abilities. That's what I was hired as. And I did my job well. While employed at Multnomah County Library Branch, I increased the patronage of African Americans and others. I created innovative programming and exposed the library to non-traditional library users. I worked under the branch manager, Lisa White. While employed at the Albina branch, Lisa White often referred to this particular location and the library in general as a sea of white faces. Lisa White made other racial statements, including why Black History Month even existed, and suggested that there be a white man's History Month. Clearly, Lisa White did not welcome me as a Black employee. In fact, Lisa White did everything she could to fire me, and successfully did fire me. Just recently. This is Lisa White's third attempt at hiring an African American KSA for the Albina Branch Library. I am convinced Lisa White wants to keep the Albina Branch as she puts, a sea of white faces. The reason given for my dismissal pale in comparison to the contributions I made to the Multnomah County Library, the Albina Branch, and the greater community. The effects of gentrification are very real. Again, out of 693 employees at Multnomah County Library, only 24 are Black. Multnomah County Library Director Bailey Oakley has received internal and external pressures to rehire me as an African American KSA. If you believe Multnomah County Library should become more inclusive in its hiring practices, email Commissioner Kafori, and his email address is very simple. Her email address is very simple. It's molt.chair@molco.us. And Library Director Bailey Oakley, which is baileyo@molco.us. To not only rehire me, but to hire employees that are reflective of the community the library serves. Black people comprise 7% of Multnomah County's population, yet at Multnomah County Library, out of 693 employees, only 24 are Black.
And so one of the things I wanted to say is that when we hear about organizations or departments or programs like KSA that are basically intended to hire Blacks, when I talk about investigations and audits, I want to see the benefit of those programming for the long-term goals that they're supposed to serve. Because if it's supposed to be economic empowerment and job creation, the turnover doesn't seem consistent with the mission. And I think that when people make complaints like this in our community, we need to ask those questions and we need to ask for those audits, because that's what we have a city audit department for. But because that is a Multnomah County thing, if you do decide to send an information or any kind of response regarding what you just heard here to Chair Kafori, ask for an audit into the system and any other particular specific cultural competence systems. Ask them for audits. Ask them are they long-term benefits to the people that they're supposed to serve. And if they're not, based on the numbers, then ask them what are they going to do about it, because that's what we're asking them. So when we're out here shutting them down, don't ask why. Just get involved and help us. Okay, so thank you, Ashley, for giving your statement, and I appreciate that. And so we wanted to go ahead and also give you information about different things that are happening that Don't Shoot Portland is going to be involved in. And right now is Black Month Business, and there was an article in the Oregonian that came out the other day, and so I made a trip out to a coffee shop in New Columbia called the Columbia International Coffee and Cafe. And I was speaking to the owner of the shop who's having issues with the economic value of his benefit to that community. That community is probably more than 70% in poverty, and so he's not getting the type of business that would benefit their neighborhood or his company. And so he was looking at issues with that. We decided we're gonna go ahead and start having meetings there every fourth Sunday of the month, and we're gonna kick off a sign making meeting. We will also have buttons